Alright guys, before today's episode, just to let you know that I have a new stand-up special out. It's a half hour that I recorded earlier this year at Monkey Barrel. It was last year's Fringe show. It is out now. It's something a bit different for me, a bit more intimate, a bit more personal. So if you'd like to check it out, it is available now. It's called Mark Jennings Away From Here. It's up on the Some Laugh YouTube channel, and I hope you enjoy it. Aside from that,
great show. Recommend it.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you very much, guys.
It's not a stupid lot of shit.
No, thank you for saying that. High
It's a
praise
clever
indeed,
lot
Steve.
of good stuff.
A couple of references to the pod in it as well. Hopefully people will appreciate. Yes, and of course, as ever, you can sign up to our Patreon for as little as £3 a month and get access to an extra episode every 2 weeks, plus bonus content from all our previous live shows. We've got first dibs for upcoming tickets and loads of other cool stuff like that.
Yeah, it keeps us ticking over. We appreciate everyone that's joined us over there. It means a lot.
Absolutely.
Y'all. Thanks.
Speaking of stand-up as well, we do have myself and Stuart have got brand new shows at the Edinburgh Festival, doing the full run.
So
Steve has got
To a lesser extent.
some selected dates.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a new show, some of them.
You get a new show, but you're not doing the old show as
Too
well.
new, if anything.
It's a whip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Half-assed.
Doesn't count.
Okay, fair enough. And
Cold mate.
and Steve
so
also is
easy.
releasing his own special of sorts, I suppose, on BBC iPlayer.
Short film. Get it watched, guys. Cable Tied, it's called. Cable with a C, tied with a T.
He's gone with the traditional spelling. Recommend it.
Yes, so
Friend of the show, Martin Quinn, also stars in it. Am I correct in saying
Yes,
that?
previous episode D, and he
good
was
boy.
very funny.
Very funny boy.
Yeah.
Can run a 5k in 19 minutes.
So it's, yeah, I've heard.
yeah.
I can
I don't
run
know if we're
one,
allowed to make that information public.
That's a GDPR infringement. Isn't it?
I can run one in 29. Sue me.
Only an extra 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Decent.
And do you know how long the film is? 10 minutes. You could watch our film in that period of time when we would run a 5K.
Martin can run it, watch the film, and then congratulate you crossing the line.
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so check all that out,
Aside
guys.
from all that, please enjoy today's
Yes.
episode.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Welcome to the Some Laugh podcast.
It could be like, oh, that was some laugh, or there was just some laughs.
Well, no promising all laugh.
No,
It's
there's going to be some.
some laugh. We're going there and we've got this thing the night before that's happening that we're going to try and wangle away, and it's like Fred McCauley and McCoy in.
Oh,
the
Christ,
kind of-
like a reboot of the...
Yeah.
It's just dinner and party thing we've been invited to.
So they've got us into it, but we're just like, Sir Alex and all that shit's going to be there, so we're kind
Jerry
of like
Butler.
Jared Butler,
Rod Stewart.
Amy McDonald,
And us.
and us, that's it.
Well,
So
off the way.
it's kind of going to be, but kind of like it's going to be crazy. To be honest. It's a bit too surreal. To,
Managed to talk them out of us doing stand up because we can't deal with dying on our arse in front of Fergie.
Can you
up
imagine
at
the
night.
fucking
Get-
death stare
I
for
know.
them?
getting the hairdryer treatment after you die in your ass.
I interviewed him once. He was actually quite nice because we were talking about Jock Stein, so it was something he wanted to talk about.
Brilliant. So Sir Alex.
This was a thing for... I could maybe talk about that, actually.
Aye? Well, it's- we're
We're talking
rolling.
about it now.
We're rolling.
Oh, right, aye. That was a thing for STV. God, this must be around about 2009 or something. And they had the show called The Greatest Scot, because you know how we big ourselves up all the time. I think it was an attempt to big ourselves up, right? Pull your head out of your arse and give yourself some self-congratulation. And so they had this thing called The Greatest Scot, and the idea was it would be split into categories. So there'd be literature, engineering, probably it was Scottish, bridges,
Kevin.
Bo.
Kevin versus the Firth of Forth.
Who would win between Kevin and the Queensferry? I like both. They do very different things, but the Queens, because I was working near the Queensferry Bridge.
Aye.
It's fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
It does make you go a wee bit, and you do a slight sex wee when you see it. I'm not even one of those guys that's into architecture as such. Do you know guys get really, really obsessed about bridges?
Yeah.
And the thing is, I mean, even to a layman like myself, it's like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's
That
in
is
Scotland.
impressive.
Do you know what? Do you know what I seen the other day? Was because you know how because obviously that sounds a wee bit similar to like train spotters. I seen a guy taking a picture of a bus, and it looked like he was a bus spotter. I was like, I didn't know that was a thing.
Probably just saw his mate on the bus.
No, but it was weird. He was at the bus stop, and it was like as if he was waiting on it. And then as soon as it, like, he just took a picture, and the bus went by, and he didn't go on it. And I was like, what the fuck's going on there?
It's so much easier than going on Tinder, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Clearly, that's filled that hole for him, and it's much easier because buses phone you the next day. No, they don't. That's what's wrong. I've got that computer. Actually, it's easier going on Tinder. No. I'm so glad. For Christ's sake. Anyway, yes. So this thing, the Great Scot, and so I got to present the kind of sport section of it. So the nominees were for the Greatest Scot in the sport category were. Alex Ferguson was one, Jock Stein,
Andy Murray.
Douglas.
At that point, Andy Murray wasn't quite a thing. Ken Douglas wasn't. Dennis Law. See, I'm not into Formula One, but was it John Clark that used to race in the 50s?
There is some race guy, there is one.
He apparently could win F1 in a sit-down lawnmower. Apparently he was that good. Jackie Stewart, was he in that?
Jackie Stewart.
Possibly.
Coulthard,
no. Despite the fact he can fit his head in the Frosties box and touch all 6 sides. It's true, by the way. I made him do it.
Was that what he was up to back in the days of
There's a lot of waiting about in Formula One. And so I got to interview Alex Ferguson about himself, but also about Jock Stein. And he lit up, actually. It was like he became 20 years younger. He absolutely adored Jock Stein, and he was quite funny seeing the hard guy Scottish football melting a wee bit.
Totally.
What was funny was that Angus Dixon, who's a good pal of mine, was producing it, and he had got it commissioned. It was like so Alex Ferguson's incredibly passionate about Govan as well, and obviously his kind of working class upbringing and all that. And so he got this thing commissioned where it was like a watercolour painting of Govan. And he took it along as a gift for Alex, and you could see he was like, "Oh, thanks." And Angus' face fell like a safe from a window. I suppose when you're Alex, it's like being Billy Connolly. People will just give you things.
Yeah.
I remember being at a thing. The one time I met Billy Connolly, there was what had happened. In fact, Kevin Bridges was involved because Billy Connolly won a BAFTA, a Scottish BAFTA, but specifically about his work in film. And he couldn't make the actual BAFTAs night, so they put on a separate night. I don't know. I'm a member of BAFTA, but I don't normally go to the BAFTA things. But I thought I'm going to that one, and of course, being Billy Connolly, it was you had to actually apply for a ticket. And it was like a lottery and all that. And thankfully, I managed to get me and my Mrs. Fiona a ticket. So we went along, and it was just Billy being interviewed, I think, by Janice Forsyth, and Kevin Bridges gave him the award at the end.
Right,
he got quite emotional,
because
he said this means a lot because it comes from home, and obviously nothing but love in the room for Billy Connolly, apart from 2 taxi drivers. He wasn't the funny one in the shipyard. He told other people's jokes. I was going, fucking take a long walk of a shop, you fucking dick. I hate that chat. So anyway, there was an after party thing in Arta. It was one of them ones in Merchant City. And I said to Fiona, look, Billy Connolly's not going to be there, but we should go. We'll be pals there. We'll go and have a drink and all that. Went along, and within 5 minutes, Billy Connolly came. And it wasn't like he was surrounded by like a wall of flesh. It was just him and this lassie with a clipboard. So it was like, it's not being very well protected. He was going to get mobbed in the middle like pigeons on a chip. And lo and behold, that's what happened. And it was funny because he is my proper living hero. I mean, I properly lost my shit because I had been, there's an opticians in Glasgow called Niche Optical. Right. And that's where Billy gets his glasses because I've been in 3 months ago, and he said, "Oh, Billy was in." I'm like, "Oh, Billy Connolly was here." Oh, yeah. He bought these glasses. They're made from record vinyl, and they explained to me, actually, what happens is that you get the single as well that they. So it happened to be Martha and the Vandellas Dancing in the Street was the vinyl that they used. So they give you a copy of the single with it. It's like a package.
Right. Well.
So of course when I meet Bill Connolly, I feel the need to tell him something you already fucking knew. Hi Billy, I was in Niche Optical. You Brenda with the green ties? And I did. I went into hyper mode. A fangirl right in his face because it was Martha and Vandellas one time because you get record vinyl and the lovely glasses. For about a minute, I talked at him, and he just kind of blinked like that for a minute and said, "When's this Asian going to stop talking?" And then later on, and I made a complete cunt of myself. And then later on, I was chatting to this lassie, and she looked a bit despondent, and she said, "Oh, cause I was saying to Billy that it was my uncle's funeral last year, and my dad actually did a bit of the crucifixion because it was my uncle's favourite thing. He didn't seem very impressed." I said, Aye, but when you're Billy Connolly, you probably get told that 20 times a day. Yeah. And it must be the same with Alex Ferguson. They'll just give you stuff and you're like, don't know what to do with this. There isn't a room big enough for all the stuff that people give me.
Exactly. It's got a back room full of watercolours of welly boots.
Exactly.
Have you ever been given stuff by like mad fans or anything?
I've had a greetings card full of pubes. No, it was someone sent a very nice pencil drawing of Navid, painstaking. That was quite nice. And you're thinking that's lovely, but I hope it stops there.
Yeah.
But no, not really. I told this story once that I'd gone. I was looking for a new car, and then you know that in every car showroom, because there's never any cafes nearby, there's always like a burger van nearby. So I went to get a bacon roll and a coffee, and I got that for free. That's for the laughs. And I told that to someone, and they said, "I thought you said you got a free Honda Civic." Nah, I'm not that level. I got a free bacon roll and a coffee. That's about the level.
All right.
It was better than nothing.
Yeah, take it.
And I've had that thing. You know that what do you call it? Pret a manger. Apparently, I didn't know this till this happened, but they had the discretion to give something like 3 free coffees a day.
Yeah.
Right.
And I got one. I thought I'd rather than giving it to someone that needed it more. But
Yeah.
I got a free coffee. I wasn't going to say no, but
Just took it anyway.
that's the level. It's mainly caffeine based.
Do you know if that one was for the laughs, or they might have just fancied you or something?
See, I don't know, because I did wake up. I woke up in a bath full of ice and one scar. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, it's never the fancy thing. Although I did this prize giving thing at a sports club, and the guy said, "Mate, sorry, I need to get a picture." He was about 16. He said, "I need to get a picture. My mum really fancied you, but only as Navid." That's a weird one, isn't it?
Put it on the beer.
Getting the wig out the bag. Yeah.
Put and just look slightly fire damaged, curly whirly, and that'll get the party started.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever made a public appearance but had to dress as Navid?
See, I'm not allowed to.
You know?
Not really, because Ford and Greg, they wrote the character, so they own it. So I get required. I mean, I got asked. It was one of the old days or one of these convenience stores, and I think they were going to roll out like 40 stores in the Central Belt.
Aye.
And the idea was that I'd open a few of them.
That would be funny as fuck too.
As Navid. But no, I think he's quite rightly, Ford and Greg own it. And I think at that point, that was during the hiatus when Still Game was off air.
Yeah.
And I don't know at what point.
People just think that you've launched a spin-off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were stories. Do you remember Balamory? Spencer, the painter from Balamory, apparently used to cut about in the gear, waiting to be recognised. And he was a painter decorator in the show, but I don't know whether he actually did any. gives you a quote for Artex, and I don't know, but I have had lots of people ask if I can show up in character, and I can't. I mean, what I can do is I can come as the actor that played Navid, and that's usually enough if I can just drop a couple of references in. The one time I did show up as Navid was a charity thing they let me do, and that's the only time I've done it, and. It was weird actually, because that was the first time I had a handle on how big Still Game was, because people were properly losing their shit. I thought,
when was that?
This must be mid-noughty. In fact, I know because my daughter Ruby, who's now 23, she was 3 at the time, so 20 years ago. Wow. So I think probably 2 years after Still Game had started,
right?
And they let me do that one, and it was nice to be able to do it. But it is an hour in makeup, so it's a pain in the hole. Yeah. Wow. I do get asked, but I'm.
And what was that like? So when you realised that this was huge, because what were you doing before it? Were you doing like stand up or anything, or were you doing?
No. I was a writer on Tune the Fat,
right?
And what had happened was Ford, Greg, and I all live near each other, and we all use the same shop, like newsagents, and it's run by an Asian family. I happen to know the son actually, because I've been in uni with the son. Right. He was quite like he was a bit of a charmer, you know. He used to cut about in a purple Versace shirt. He was quite handsome as well, and he's in this corner shop. He's wearing this really expensive shirt and like Tom Ford aftershave. Yeah. If that was a thing, it probably wasn't then. It's probably just obsession. And Fahrenheit or something. He'd be like, "Would you like black magic? It's a chocolate." He was kind of a bit of a charmer, and his dad was really funny as well. And Ford, being Ford, it can impersonate anything or anyone, and he did a belt impersonation of the dad. So when we were doing Tune the Fat, Ford had said to me, look, would it be really off if I played a version of the Shopkeeper? Now, back then it'd been fine. Back now you get cancelled.
Yeah.
But see, people don't remember this, but the first series of Little Britain, Little Britain, problematic, right? But Matt Lucas used to play this shopkeeper called Sanjeev.
Oh, really?
And the joke was born as it be planning a bank. And it was just like kind of like, like this thing of I know your business, which I've exploited a lot. Yeah. Shopkeepers knowing your business is my fucking lifeblood. so 3 times. So I said, look, I didn't have a problem before doing it because it wasn't like he was trying to impersonate the entire race of people. It was just that one person he was doing, right? And
this was for Chewing the Fat, sorry?
This would have been for Chewing the Fat.
Right, okay.
And I said, look, if you need help writing it, I'll keep you right, sort of thing. And thankfully it never came to anything. So I think it would have been an issue like Ford browning up.
Yeah.
Although he did play, do you remember the Italian hairdresser he used to play?
Vaguely.
And again, he didn't brown up for that, but that'd be a problem now. But I mean, it was properly authentic. I mean, I actually think of it, the two main ingredients are authenticity and affection. As long as you're not punching down, and as long as you're doing it from a good place, then I don't have an issue with it. But anyway, different times.
But they didn't like ask you if you wanted to play the character.
Not at that time. And at that time, I hadn't done a huge amount of performing. I was like a radio presenter who wrote sketches.
Right.
So Chewing the Fat and Off the Ball actually was what got me into sketch writing.
Yeah.
Because I was originally a radio presenter. I'd come into Radio Scotland. This is quite a Netflix way of telling the story of multiple timelines. You enjoying this?
Yeah.
So you don't know, is it Christmas? Yeah.
Well, we had pitched to Greg that we have a show called Young Victor that we cannot get cast in.
Well, just tell you guys what I'll do is if I shift the angle slightly, if I'm talking about the 90s, I'll go like that. I'll put a 90s film for it so people don't get confused. So I'll tell you the full story then. So I fell into radio presenting because I actually had a maths degree. I still have. They don't actually take that away from you. I didn't know what I was doing in my life. And then a friend of mine who was in the media said, look, I'm producing a radio show and my brief is to get new presenting talent. And I thought of you. And it wasn't a comedy show. It was like a magazine show aimed at the ethnic communities of Scotland. And it got exactly as many listeners as you should imagine. But I got the job and then I was presenting the show. And like I say, it was quite journalistic. I mean, I remember I said it was in 1994, right? And there were all these Asian kids in the south side of Glasgow were into gangster rap, right? And they were all like quite middle class kids, worked in their dad's cash and carry, but they were totally into Snoop Dogg and that. Right? And NWA used to cut about in LA Raiders jackets and skip cats and that, cut about their tune night. Like, and I found this fascinating, right? And I said, I want to do this thing, a package about, why Asian kids in Shields are getting into gangster rap. And I was quite pompous about it because I thought, this isn't South Central A, this is the south side of Glasgow. And I very naively fucking went to Albert Drive with my mic and my specs and all that. And there was like a 20-side football game going on in Albert Drive Primary. And I says, does anyone here like gangster rap? And I was interviewing, I don't like what the white guys do, right? I like to do what the black guys do, right? And what I was trying to do was like, there was a real kind of disenfranchised thing. It was in Pollock Shields at the time. It was quite kind of, it was bubbling. There was like tensions between like a lot of the white community and the Asian community, and that's what I was sort of trying to tap into. I ended up getting a rubber bullet put through the back of my Vauxhall Astra. Someone took exception to me coming in with my
Really?
So I thought maybe I could be K80. I could be like like a war reporter. But then as I worked on the show, because I'd watched millions of comedy as a kid, I was a bit of a comedy obsessive, just watching a telecomedy. I would start writing wee jokes just in the links, and that kind of got noticed. And then that's really what led to me being asked to present Off the Ball, not to audition to present the original Off the Ball.
Right.
So probably Greg told you this, but he was the original, or did he not? But
I don't think we covered that actually, but I did know that.
So back in the day, I knew the producer, and he auditioned me to present it, but I didn't get the gig. Greg got the gig, and I ended up being a regular guest with Tam Gowan.
And did you know Greg at the time?
At the time, I used to see him cutting about the BBC, and we would nod hello to each other.
Right. That was the first time. The corner shop as well, presumably.
Obviously, yeah. See, but that was the thing, though. Was like, I know, and back then he stayed in the South Side. He stayed in Dixon Avenue back then. So, I that's how I got to know Greg that year. I mean, it's that long ago, right? That a win got 2 points. It was it was that season that a win got 3 points.
Wow.
That's how long ago it was.
God.
It was when Walter Smith was signing Basil Bolly. That's how long ago it was. It was when Celtic drew every game they played. And Tommy Burns finished 4th, and there was all that stuff. That's how long ago it was. It's 30 years ago now. And so I got to know Ford and Greg. And Ford used to come in, because that's right, the following year, I got binned, but they said, look, Stuart and Tam are going to present the show now, but we're going to have off the ball and on the ball. And I can't remember which was which, but one was going to be the kind of the phone-in format. The other one was going to be sketches. And said, would you fancy writing some football sketches? And I said, well, I've never written a sketch, but I've watched 20 million sketches. So that was really where I learned how to write sketches. And sketch comedy for me, I mean, it's such a great learning curve because you can't fanny about. You got to really get to the point quickly. You got to know who your characters are. You can't have a huge amount of exposition because you got to deliver the joke within 2 minutes. And that's the other thing. You know, you can't. I'd write a sketch. I say, what's wrong with it? It's too long. What's wrong with it? It's too long. Right? Do you need that bit? Can you say all that with one word or a look? Well, not a look. It's radio. But that was how you learn how to be.
That's probably the problem.
That was the problem.
You're doing a lot of physical comedy pauses.
Looking back now, how quickly can you get to the point? What is the actual punchline? What are you trying to say here? And it really, really distills all that stuff that, you know. I know stand-up's different, but it's the same rules, really. So that was where I learned how to write sketch comedy, and that's how and Ford used to be one of the voices. But in fact, Ford does a brilliant. I used to write. You won't remember Cracker, will you? The Robbie Coltrane.
I'm aware of it.
I'm aware of it. Yeah, I've
Absolutely
never seen it.
Amazing television. Robbie Coltrane, genius, absolute genius, and he played this psychologist that worked for the police, and he would interrogate suspects, and he was an absolute powerhouse. He was brilliant, and Ford did a really good impersonation of Robbie Coltrane being Cracker. So I used to write these sketches where it was Cracker as Alex Ferguson, totally annihilating players. And stuff. So that was how I got to know Ford. And then we'd end up, there'd be these, I remember there was at least 2 sketch show pilot ideas, and Ford and Greg and me and Donnie McCleary, who I write Fags, Mags and Bags with, would be in the same room, and it'd be the same 8 people. And so we'd get to know each other. And then Ford and Greg, I got approached by the comedy unit, and they said that Ford and Greg are doing a radio sketch show. We just need a producer. And I was the first producer of Tune the Fat on Radio Scotland in 1997. Yeah, 97.
And had you produced anything before, really, or was it just more the writing kind of
that show?
I'd done a bit of producing of but nothing live. I mean, I'd been around radio that much, and the thing was, I wasn't really producing. It was just me sitting there with a stopwatch because Ford and Greg had the whole thing mapped out. And people don't remember this, but Chewing the Fat was called Chewing the Fat because quite a big element of the show was them just chatting as themselves, chewing the fat.
Yeah.
Because by the time it became popular, that bit had been binned.
Yeah.
Kept the title.
Just in the early telly episodes, like
and I think they felt that bit wasn't working, so it was a bit static.
Yeah.
But that was a big feature of the radio show. I remember there was one. I mean, it was all really funny, but there was one that they would say, "God, how long do we can get away with this radio presenting lark?" And they said, "Well, how long can you get away with any job? Like, how long could you get away with being a brain surgeon? And they said, how long can you get away with being a concert pianist? Because you could go up and you could be wearing the tails and all that, and you could crack your fingers, and you could brush the seat, and you could get the Mr. Sheen out and polish the piano. You could probably get 15 minutes out of that. And then it would be like chat, and then it would be sketches that they'd written, and then that's when I started writing sketches for them. And then it'd be music. And then it became a half-hour thing, which was just the sketches and the chat. And then I was an official writer. So then by that point, I was writing for Tune the Fat, and then it went on the telly. And that was really when we had that conversation about the Shopkeeper. That's how that came about. I'm actually in one Tune the Fat sketch.
Are you?
What one?
There's a...
Plays a really offensive Italian hairdresser.
Actually,
a really insensitive impression of Cracker.
I actually did an Ethiopian. You can do anything, though. All bets rough. It was remember the Banter Boys? We're just here for the banter.
Yeah.
They go to, I think it must be one of the Christmas specials or the New Year special, and they go to an Indian restaurant, and I'm the waiter that serves them. Right. And I'm pure if you want it banging, go for the chicken tikka masala. So it was like, we're just here for the banter. That's the one sketch I'm in.
Do you remember one particular? Do you have a favourite that you wrote?
I used to write The Lonely Shopkeeper, shops again, and it was the one because I'd written it originally as a series of 3. So the idea was, I'm one of the reasons I'm obsessed with shops is that we used to have a shop because we're Asian. It's in the small print, and I know how trapped you are. Like if you want to go to the dentist, you book it 2 years in advance, and you need to get someone to cover your shift and all that, and you're properly trapped in a shop, literally and metaphorically. So that's the idea of the lonely shopkeeper. She's lonely, hasn't got any pals, and frightens everyone off. And so you establish it. Comedy rule of 3: establish it. You start it, establish it, and the third one, she's gone off the scale. I'm being a man out of double deckers, so you can all go away. And I thought, well, that's her. That's the story of the.
Yeah.
She's properly lost the plot. She's mean a man out of chocolates. And then Rab Christie, the producer, said, everyone loves this character. Can you bring it back? I said, well, she's kind of lost the plot, but brought it back. And then it properly finished when she met her pal, and it was Julie Nimmo that played the pal, where customer comes in and she says, oh, I'm stuck in my top floor of my flat day after day because I've got this heart condition. And she says, oh, do you want to go to Aaron? I've got this leaflet. And then she goes to the back shop to get the leaflet, and Julie's character gets really excited and then has a heart attack and dies. And then the next scene is Paul Riley comes in the very, very last sketch. Paul Riley comes in as a customer and to get something from the freezer, and there's the corpse in the freezer. And she's brushing sweet corn. Oh no, you got sweet corn in your eyes. Kept her alive, dead in the freezer. So I love the fact that I was able to wring that much goodness out of what should have been a 3-sketch idea. But
I love those sketches, they're brilliant.
That was an iconic one, day
Really
after day in this wee shop.
I know. I was properly obsessed with those individual fruit trifles. That as me, Sanjeev, I was obsessed with those. I loved them. I was quite good to get. You know that Victoria Wood way where you get a very specific reference that not everyone will get. But I love that one because I think that's a lesson I learned as a writer. Actually, was be as specific as you can with your references, because then people know it comes from the heart.
Yeah,
I call it the going to the pub kind of thing, where when people sometimes start out writing, they say, oh, should we just go to the, in a script, should we just go to the pub? That's fine if you're someone that goes to the pub. Yeah. But it'd be fun if you said, should we just go to TK Maxx, or should we just go for a game of squash?
Yeah.
And keep it more specific, and people like, oh right, this is a specific world I quite want it, rather than just be generic about stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, individual fruit trifles, individual cheesecakes.
It's kind of perfect, because a trifle is, you'd have it at a buffet or a party. It's a communal party dessert, and she's got one of her own. It's tragic.
That's a very good point. It is tragic. You're right. A trifle is, hey.
Yeah.
It's like, do they do individual Viennettas? Do they?
Chalk ice.
That's a good idea.
Chalk ice is your, I suppose chalk ice is your, a single man's pudding. I sit and watch Love Island with a market individual Viennettas for incredibly tragic single.
So you went, so obviously for there, that was Tune the Fat, and then obviously Still Game starts.
And had at this point for acting, you'd only been in that one brief Tune the Fat sketch.
Yeah.
Is that right?
What else I did? Well, at that time, so Donnie McCleary, who's my writing wife, in fact, funny enough, I met him 3 months before I met my actual wife, and we share. So we had been writing together since about 97, and we got a thing on Radio Scotland called a couple of shows actually. One called Shredded Week, which was a listing show, but it was actually a sketch show dressed as a listing show. Right. So the idea is, if you listen to Shredded Week, we'll review a play, we'll review the soaps, we'll review music, but we'll do it all in character. So, for example, and Donnie and I did it all. So we present it as ourselves. It was called Sanj and Donnie's Shredded Week. And then Donnie would review the soaps as Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars. He did a really good Emperor Palpatine. Yeah. And finally on Hollyoaks, wipe them out, all of them. And then we would review the arts as a pair of Neds, because Neds hadn't really been done at that point. All right, ladies, my name's Alan Jaggers, ma'am. This is my blog, I'm that way. We've been doing the Tron review of Bad Magnets, Pashbot. And we'd end up reviewing the toilets. But we would actually review the play, and then we would review a book as the two Tom Pollins. Tom Pollin was this reviewer on the Late Show that hated everything. I wanted to like Harry Potter, but I couldn't get to grips with it. You do like Harry Potter, you just at it. So that was it was acting. I mean, at the time I would have thought it was just me doing accents, but it actually was acting.
Yeah.
So that's probably where I was actually learning.
Right.
And so I'd done a bit of that. And then we had another show called Lunchtime Tonight, which was a spoof of Scotland Today on the radio again. Probably, I mean, that's
a great title.
I know. I mean, the thing is, I'm obsessed with Chris Morris and Armando Iannucci, and loved On the Hour and Brass Eye and all of that stuff in the Day Today. So it probably was a poor man's version of that, but it was also a go at Scotland Today, and so there's more lifestyle-y stuff as well as just news. There's more lifestyle-y stuff that we could have a go at. And again, Donnie and I and a couple of other people would do the voices. So again, that was... But I didn't see myself properly as an actor at that point. I was still thought, is this acting, is it not? So when Still Game came around, Ford and Greg approached me again. They said, remember that Shopkeeper character we talked about? And I said, well, my offer still stands if you want help writing it. You know, do you want to play him?
Wow.
I'm like, aye. And then Greg has always said that when I impersonate my dad, it made him laugh because Greg knew my dad. And because my dad's not Ouija. My dad is a turban Sikh, 6'2", similar build to me, quite deadpan. Eat that, you cheeky bugger. Come to Costco to buy 2,000 tea bags. And a block of cheese the size of a mini metro. So that's my dad, really, really deadpan and quite inscrutable. And I do quite good person, but Dad, you don't know that, but that's fucking banging. So I thought, and the whole Glasgow Asian thing, I mean, it hadn't been done. I was so lucky because I used to know guys at college, they talk like that, right? Total VG, but total Asian as well. So I see, thing is, right, Sanjeev, I know I've got cousins with hockey sticks, they'll break your legs, yeah. You fucking cross me, yeah, go to kebabish after, yeah, and no bothered. I'm brand new, by the way, I love all that stuff. So I had that in the tank that I could do the Glaswegian thing, but then put it into my dad, so just quality dinner torties, junky bastard. So I knew I could do, the accent was there, and that bastard thing. My dad used to say that. We knew that the Bob was up on the slates when my dad said bastard. That was that was it. Like me and my brother would play football with rolled up socks in the bedroom. My dad was a teacher. He was marking, he'd come through, you bloody bastards. So that word bastard's been quite good to me. And then in my memory, see, I don't know if this is officially true, but I think I said, well, listen, why don't I just play it as my dad like a turban Sikh? But then we couldn't do that because of the nay drink at a Muslim wedding episode, because you can't say nay drink at a Sikh wedding because a Sikh wedding is like a brewery. I don't know if you had the pleasure of going to a Sikh wedding, but it's like you just get booze thrown at you and you don't pay for it.
Right.
This is what my wedding was like. In fact, that wedding episode is sort of inspired by my wedding.
Do you have the gold?
Didn't, but there was 600 people at my reception.
Fucking hell.
And no one paid for anything. So my wife Fiona, right? So she's second generation, like Stornoway, and I'm second generation Punjabi. And my dad said, right, this is true. I proposed to her in Crinan, which is up the west coast, and the first place we could get any service coming back to Glasgow was at the Loch Fyne. So you know, it was back in Nokia days, couldn't get any service. And then I phoned my dad from Loch Fyne, and Fiona phoned her sister. Her mum and dad passed away, so she phoned her sister, and big screams down the phone. And I phoned my dad, and my dad said, right, come to the house, we'll have a celebratory drink. And in the 90 minutes it took me to get from Loch Fyne to my dad's house, he'd phoned all the big hotels in Glasgow about availability for receptions and stuff. The Hilton is free. And then genuinely, I proposed to Fiona in February, and we got married that August.
Wow,
it was that quick. Like I say, my dad was on it like a lacy bonnet. And then when we were discussing the actual wedding itself, Fiona said, "So will we have evening guests?" And my dad said, "What are evening guests?" And I had to explain to my dad an evening guest is someone you don't really like, but you have to give them a roll and sausage. And he said, "Well, everyone that comes to my son's wedding will be fed and watered." So that's the Sikh wedding is a brewery, so we couldn't say nay drink at a Sikh wedding, so it had to be a Muslim character. So what I think happened was was they said, okay, right, let's just lose the turban, but we'll keep the beard.
So did you have the turban and then you...
It never came to actually wearing a turban. I think maybe at the writing stage.
Right, okay.
But I think there might be an early draft where he was a Sikh, but never actually physically.
Because how early on in the series was Navid's daughter's wedding? That was a few seasons
episode 6.
Oh, was it?
And you never see her again.
Aye.
That's the thing, you never see his kids again.
That's right, yeah.
Because there's been talk about, should you have made more still game? I personally think we went out on a high, and it went for 17 years.
Yeah.
But if you did want to, well, Navid's got kids. Isa's got a son that's mentioned once and lives in Bishopbriggs. Never seen him. You could always bring back Tams Wayne, the mystery of Tams Wayne. So there are, avenues, because when things come back, like things get rebooted, they go to the next generation.
Next generation.
Like Frasier's done it not very well. What I did see was, and they rebooted Roseanne, and they brought it back, but then Roseanne went a bit Trumpy, so they binned her.
Oh yeah.
And they brought it back, but they called it The Connors. And the start point is that Roseanne's died, but she OD'd on painkillers. And it's actually pretty good. It's actually quite redolent of the original Roseanne, which I don't know if you guys remember was proper groundbreaking.
Never watched it. No.
Very, very
was
good.
That John Goodman?
Yes, John Goodman. And Laurie Metcalf was always brilliant. So he became this Muslim character, and I love him. I love playing him. Because when you have to put a fake belly on him, and it just changes the way I stand, and then suddenly I'm like the king of shit hill. Because that's what I like about Navid is that, in a slightly more serious point, a lot of Asian characters in drama tend to be victims, and that happened a lot. But he's the richest guy in Craiglang, and I remember the first time Navid, maybe not the first time he comes out of his shop, but when he goes to ask the boys to run his shop because he's going for his brother's funeral, Michael, the director, said, right, when you go into their flat, you own the place. Flick things, you know what I mean? Like, and I was like, yeah. He's like, you're like a sexual, LL Cool J. You're like a panther in that flat. I said, yeah, you're right, actually, because he's the richest guy in Craiglang. He's got the tan Merc with the private number plates. And it's a lot of fun to play that, 'cause I'm really not like that at all. So an absolute joy to play. And it still baffles me how popular Navid, especially with kids, but they seem to really, really like Navid. And I've always said this, that even if he's fictional, if he's someone that's visibly different, ethnically different, that makes a connection, then that can only be a good thing, because if they feel like they know him, then they might feel like they know other people, and it isn't that. I mean, I saw my mum do that when we had our shop in Battlefield. I was 10 years old. I'd go and help my mum out after school, and she'd wear like a shalwar kameez, like a Punjabi suit, and they'd come in, you could see they're a bit like, and then my mum's English is brilliant because she was a teacher, and you could see it completely broke down boundaries.
Yeah.
And she used to be a social worker as well. So at one point she was helping them fill out forms and stuff.
Wow.
And that is where I saw that a shop could be like more than just like a transaction. It could be like a community thing. And that's what I've channeled in Fags, Mags and Bags. It's like more of a community thing. So I've properly abused the notion of shop multiple times.
It's 11 series right now.
11th, we're on the 11th series, yeah.
That's a lot of material about a shop.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about a shop is it's like, I've always said this, that anyone can walk into a shop. So a hypnotist, a beekeeper, Elon Musk, Dean Gaffney, anyone can walk into a shop, and that can be a storyline that week. And we've built up a nice community of people in it. And it's also just, it's a great way of just like anything that's annoying me. If it's TikTok or if it's just anything at all, you can use the shop as a prism, because you got Ramesh and Dave, so that's my character, and Donnie's character, who are very broad-minded about everything. You've got the two sons. One is like a total kind of TikTok son. One thinks he's Richard Branson. You've got like a right-wing customer who channels Farage. So it's just you've got all the viewpoints that you need for any kind of raw material. So it's useful that way. But a lot of fun writing it, a lot of fun performing it, and we've done our first fully musical episode.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Tom Urie, what a genius.
Yeah, he's in it.
Oh,
I was watching him last night. He's in this new Euros.
Right, yeah. So they've brought back Almost Angelic, haven't they?
I was watching the screening last night. It's fucking hilarious.
Almost Angelic. Who let the dogs out? Was it you? No.
Was that Karen Dunbar and Tom? Yeah.
Oh, Karen Dunbar and Tom. Oh, they're both, honestly, they're just planet-sized talents. They're brilliant. Yeah. So Tom has has written, arranged this musical episode, and I can't tell you how good it is. It's just fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. And that's out just now, did you
That
say?
will be, so Fags, depends on, Fags, Mags and Bags Series 11 will probably, by this time this goes out, will be on the third episode, but they're all on iPlayer. Been going out on 2:15 on a Monday on Radio 4. Very proud to say that we got the word FUD on the Radio 4 multiple times. I just don't think they know what it means. Because Sanjeev's character just insults people, and it's usually that you're a pure 3-pin plug in France, or you're a pure, what was it we said? You're a pure charger in a drawer that no one knows what it's for. So it tends to be quite obscure, but at one point he said, "You're a FUD." and we actually got the Bishop, played by the brilliant Michael Redmond, say, "No, you're a FUD." So the Bishop saying FUD is what I was put on this planet for.
See, you're saying about different people coming into shops. What happens when you go into a shop? Now, do they lose their nut when they realise, like, Navid is in?
There is a wee bit of that. When I first started playing Navid, my main worry actually was, I don't have an issue playing an Asian playing a shopkeeper. I think it's a stereotype for a reason. Because, my dad was a teacher, used to teach in a List D school in Bishopbriggs and did supply teaching around Cumbernauld. He was a teacher. And he gave that up for a while to run a shop because he wasn't getting promoted. And, we had our own theories as to why a turban Sikh wasn't getting promoted, but he felt the need to have his own business for a while. And him and actually my mum more than my dad put the hours in and proper work ethic. So I think the whole kind of Asian shopkeeper phenomenon is something to be celebrated, because you make your money. It's not glamorous, but you get up before the sleeping lark. You put the hours in and you make your money, and it speaks of a work ethic. It's not easy. I mean, like, I know Craig Lang's fictional, but a lot of Asian families, in a lot of these communities, the only Asians that are there either run the shop or the restaurant. And it can be hard, it's not always easy. So I think it's something to be celebrated. So I didn't have a problem with an Asian playing a shopkeeper, but I thought there might be in the community, oh God, there's one Asian on telly and he's playing a shopkeeper or a pharmacist or a cash and carry owner. I just think these are things that they're true for a reason. And as long as they're written well and they're written like 3-dimensional characters, which Navid is, don't have an issue with it. And he's funny.
Yeah.
And he's the rich guy, so not a victim.
Yeah, and like you were saying...
status thing, exactly.
Yeah, and like you were saying, it was at the time, there hadn't really been a Glaswegian Asian character done in comedy a lot, or at all, I don't know.
Telly, anyway.
No, because Limmy does that Sanjay character, doesn't he, on the World of Glasgow?
That's right, the podcast.
Yeah, but even that was after Still Game, actually. So I didn't have an issue, but I thought, oh God... so I actually did slightly shite it from going into our local shop that was run by an Asian couple, right? I thought, I need to bite the bullet and go. So this is when the first series had just started going out. I thought, I better go. So I went in and toffee crisp or whatever it was.
Individual foot trifle.
and she said, what are you doing next week? I said, what do you mean? She said, oh, it's just my brother's died. I need to go to his funeral. Could you run the shop for a while? And then she said, by the way, love it. And I haven't had any negative feedback. I've just the odd thing, but no, across the board almost it's been all right. So
Navid is a beloved character.
Yeah,
I just love seeing Navid pop up. It makes me laugh just seeing him. Like
iconic. Do you ever get people like shouting like your catchphrases at you in the street, and people must be like, well, "He just called you a bastard"?
Yeah. Well, when it first series, I wasn't tending to get spotted. It tended to be like young boys. I think they were watching it multiple times.
Yeah.
And I remember being in, and this is how long ago it was. It was in Safeways. So that was before Morrison's, before Summerfield. And I was pushing my trolley, and this wee boy was like that, staring and pointing, and his mum started, "Don't stare at the Asian, it's racist." But it tends to be like, "Where's Mina?" I had a guy, oh God, I was in IKEA.
We've got Mina on the pod next week, by the way. Off camera.
The big reveal.
Reframe some of the shots.
Some people haven't watched the last episode and don't know what she looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Some people can't bring themselves to watch it, it's too emotional.
And was it the same actress the whole way through?
No. Because what happened was, so Sears 1 was really big in Scotland. Obviously, it was always going to be really big in Scotland because of Chew the Fat, and everyone knew Jack and Victor. Then Sears 2, it was kind of like making an impact down south. By Sears 3, people in the States were getting into the show, and like a lot of the acting community actually were getting really into Still Game. It was weird. and they were kind of wanting to do guest spots,
right?
And we were like,
because there was big guests in it, like Robbie Coltrane, like you mentioned, and other people.
But we say, unfortunately, all the main characters have been, but we've not seen Mina's face. So series 4, Mina's played by Jennifer Aniston. That was a really long build up to a really poor payoff. It was always the same actors. In answer to your question, but no,
I'm going to just put that up as the clip. And
you'll face that up.
See if the Daily Record bites on that one.
I did a tweet. It said thanks to all the millions of people that found Still Game looking for Squid Game. The call happens at the end of season 9. 3 newspapers, 4 radio stations phoned me. I said, it's not true. What were we saying about so Guy in IKEA. So I could see him, so we're in the bit where you're actually picking the stuff up, and I could see him running along the central aisle. He had like a Pringle V-neck on. I don't know, I remember that detail, it's not important. And then he came up, he had his phone. Big man, I've got my wife on the phone, please can I call her a lazy boot? Melanie, a lazy boot. Oh, she'll love that. Will she? Will she though? There's a lot of that. People love you to insult them, and that's fun. That's a lot of fun. That is a lot of fun.
I like the idea of someone overhearing it but not knowing about Navid or anything.
Yeah.
Can you call my wife a lazy boot?
Because that'll happen. More and more recently, I found I've been recognised, but I hope I don't look like Navid. It's interesting to know that if I ever became a hipster, that will be what I look like. Navid on a penny farthing, selling miso soup ice cream. It is very gratifying actually, especially when kids get it. Kids aren't going to lie to you. Because I was playing fives in, I think it was the Goals near here at Drumchapel.
Yeah.
And someone just shouted, Mina! I turned around and the whitest, freckless, gingerest kid, about 12 years old. I'm looking behind him. I said, who did that? He said, me. I said, do it again. All right. Mina! And then another example of that was I was round at my sister-in-law's, and so my wife's nephew Harry, I think he was about 10 at the time, he had a pile of his pals round up playing in the attic, and so they found out that Navid from Still Game's here, so they wanted to put on a little Still Game we play thing. Oh, that's really cute. So apparently they said, right, you be me now, I'll be Navid, and they apparently all fight a photo of who would be Navid. So this wee guy Blair, bless him, again really ginger, got to be Navid, and he really went for the accent, but he really got it wrong. So it was
the world's youngest cancellation.
Yeah, exactly. It was proper patois.
Wow.
Here is your crunchy and here is your chin. Oh, bless him. Because you got to commit. I said, Blair, well done on committing, but just maybe have a look at a world map.
The one time I suppose you played maybe a bit closer to yourself was when you've done the flashback episode to the 70s.
Yeah.
Which is obviously, I think that's one of the most favourite ones for most people, that one. It was great.
Paroka was a big catchphrase at that time after that.
What was the...
Paroka.
Oh, Paroka, yeah.
Yeah.
That was an absolute joy to film. Oh my God, because they'd sourced all that stuff. The wallpaper, the shirts, everything was it was amazing, and it's always lovely to get the origin story. Not like Marvel as such. It wasn't my dad wasn't killed or I wasn't bitten by a spider, but that was lovely actually, and it was weird because when I had that wig on, I did look like my uncle just once. In 1970s, that's quite scary because I can look quite Punjabi with the right hairstyle, you know what I mean? But that was such a joy to film. And as Jane will point out, because obviously she gets naked at the end of it. It's not her, it's a stunt double. But she said, by the way, that stunt double had 2 fucking puddings at lunch. She was not happy. At all. But that is up there with almost like pinch me moments, I'm in the 70s flashback episode. This is all real. This is love. It's fantastic.
That's great.
And also one of my favourite moments as a fan of Still Game, because I am a fan of Still Game, is when Greg's timing is beautiful. When Isa says, "I want an orgasm," and he just turned around Okay. His timing is absolutely beautiful. Right. So funny. So
That's
funny.
Right. Yeah. It seems like he's gone really well as a cast, and it must have just been a laugh.
Oh, man, racist. No, we do. We do. I mean, it was always a laugh. It was all just very, very funny, nice people getting together. And like funny in ways, like Ford and Greg are funny in ways that you don't see on screen, you know, like quite surreal ways. And the same with Mark and Paul and Gav and Jane. And I mean, you talk about going into shops. Mark actually tells the best story about going into a shop. He was
Mark plays
Mark
Tam.
Mark plays Tam, yeah. Who I think Tam might be the most underrated character actually. And Mark is very dry, funny guy. So he talked about like in his 20s when in his drinking days he was quite hungover. He tells us much better than me, but I'm here now. He's not. And the only thing that was going to cover it was like an iron brew and a curly whirly, right? So he says he went into a local shop and it's run by the most miserable guy, Asian dude, really miserable, never looks up from his paper. So he went to the chiller cabinet, got the iron brew, he's like, and then he goes to the chocolate stanchion, crunchy, Milky Way, dairy milk, Orkney fudge. Where's the curly whirly? He scanned it 4 times. Twix, Mars, Milky Way. Where's the curly whirly? So he goes up to the guy and says, mate, have you not got any curly whirlies? And he didn't even look up from his paper. He said, don't stock curly whirly too long for shelf. I love that story.
That's great.
And I've had the chance to hang out with this cast. We're doing these shows.
You're doing the live shows?
Yeah.
The Hydro, was that?
Well, there was that as well. But more recently, we've been doing these. It's called Old Pals.
Oh yeah.
And so Ford and Greg are busy with the whiskey and the gin. So they frankly don't need the money. So the other 5 of us, basically, there's a couple of promoters that one in Scotland and one down south who put the shows on, and then the 5 of us will go. And it's a lovely format. It's like a live podcast really with the 5 of us, and they get a chance for a meet and greet and a Q&A and all the rest of it. And but they're always nice nights, and it's lovely to connect, like we did with the live shows, to connect with the actual audience, because that was amazing. The live shows. I was going to
ask if
in a room
how
with,
that was.
Oh, I mean, so when we stopped making Still Game in what was it, I can't even remember what year it was. Was it 2008 or 2007? There was that hiatus, and I had a theory we're going to come back, because I call it the Starsky and Hutch syndrome, and you won't remember Starsky and Hutch, right? But it was.
Watch the remake films where...
Right, well, that's nothing like it. The thing about Starsky and Hutch's is, as a kid, it was the best cop drama on telly, and I loved it. And the opening titles were amazing. They cut together, it was beautiful. And then I remember recently being about 25 years old, and it came up on a channel, like, oh, I'm going to watch Starsky and Hutch. Oh my God, they put it on Challenge TV or something. And I watched it, it was really fucking dull. But the title sequence was still amazing. But that's the bit you remember. And I always thought Ford and Greg will remember the good stuff. Because I always think with any kind of company or artistic endeavor, be it a band, be it a comedy, be it anything, that you start where you're maybe not making huge money, but you're enjoying it because it's what you want to do. And then you hit that beautiful sweet spot where you're making a living and it's still fun. And you get to the bit where you're making the money, but it's stopped being fun because there's lots of spoons in the pot, and there's lots of pressure and blah blah blah, and it stops being the fun thing that it was, and it's more like work. And I think they just went to that point with Still Game, because the 2 of them write every single word of the show. It's not a team written show, it's Ford and Greg. And I think they just got a bit scunnered with it. And but I always thought they'll remember the good stuff. And every other day people were saying to me, when's Still Game coming back? And Ford and Greg must have got that every 5 minutes. So I had a theory it would come back, but I didn't think it would be the Hydro. So I remember when my agent got in touch and said, would you be interested in doing Still Game at the Hydro? I thought, how does that work? How do you do narrative comedy on a stage that big?
Oh yeah, I mean, how many seats is it?
10,000, 12?
Between 10 and 12, depending on how they stage it. So I think it's probably 11 and a half. And the thing was that it kind of did create a new format, because I think by that point, obviously bands play places at the Hydro. I think by that point, there had been stand-up at the Hydro. But not that much. I mean, I don't know if Kevin Bridges had done it at that point. I think Miranda had. But no one had done narrative comedy. And we're thinking, that's not going to work. And I remember, I'm the one in the cast, certainly with the least acting experience, but certainly with the least stage experience. Because I went from radio presenting to writing to radio to telly. I bypassed the stage.
Because they'd done Still Game as a play originally at the Fringe, hadn't they?
Exactly. They'd done Courtiers, they'd done the Gilded Balloon. But even like someone like Jane has done Ormore, Cumbernauld, King's Pavilion, Mark and Paul are the same. Gav's done every venue in Scotland. I had done nothing. So I almost, they're like, how does a hydro behave like a venue? Is it going to be like, because obviously with comedy it's really important that you do the joke, you get the laugh, you ride the laugh.
Yeah.
What if it's like banks of laughter? What if it's like a big slapback thing? What if it's fuck all because it's too cavernous? And I'm like, I don't know, let's just do this. So in a way, it was good that I had no frame of reference. I didn't know what to be scared of.
Yeah.
Having said that, if that first show in 2014 had gone badly, we were fucked because we'd sold out 21 times.
Yeah.
So that'd have been a long month.
Yeah.
The day after the Scottish referendum, when frankly Scotland needed inflating again. So thankfully, the boys had written the show really cleverly. Michael, the director, had staged it really cleverly. Because we're mic'd up, there's big screens. So it's almost like it's a stage play for maybe 400 people. But the rest of it are getting on the screens. And people say, yeah, but you're seeing on a screen, but you're getting the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Because I got a chance to sample the atmosphere because did you come to the first show?
I went to that first show, yeah.
I went to the second one, I think. There
was 3 altogether.
3, so I went to the second or third. I went to the last one.
The last one, the with Karen and the dancing cock.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going straight to the bad fire. But in that first show, you remember that Navid goes. So we break the fourth wall. So for the first 3 scenes of the thing, you don't acknowledge the crowd. So poor Gav, who played Bobby, had the first scene, and it was like, and he's asked to ignore it. And then I think the second scene's in the Klansman. They ignore it. And then third scene's in the shop, ignore it. Then the fourth scene is Ford and Greg in their flat, and that gets the biggest, like, proper hammed ignore.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's like a full hairdryer. And they're staring into the crowd, and it's for about a minute. And they say, is there a football game on today? And they ignore the crowd again. But then they eventually acknowledge the crowd, and then they let everyone in, and then I end up selling hot dogs at the back of it. So I got a sense of it, because I go through the back and I sell binoculars right at the back for the tight bastards. And so I actually got to see it from, and it's still an experience. It's still, you still get the atmosphere. I mean, it felt like, on a slightly more serious note, people were like getting payday loans to get these tickets. Yeah. And like, fucking Ticketmaster. Oh, don't stop me. Because it wasn't our fault that the tickets were that pricey, but people were also drinking all day. I mean, that was there was fights every show.
Yeah. I was one of the later ones that he's done. There was a fight right next to where me and my dad were sitting, and we were very near the front, and it was during the big dance number at the end, and there's 2 guys scrapping. But I think this is always how it happens. One guy is telling the guy in front of him to shut, or behind him to shut up, and then so that guy just started kicking his fucking chair, and then the next thing they're scrapping. But like, I think in that, and I've been in there a few times and something like that's happened, but I think it's just the amount of people.
The magic of theatre.
It's that life experience you can't get anywhere else.
But to have that response in one room was absolutely amazing. There was the second show was the one that was set on the cruise ship.
Yeah. And
so the idea is, just for anyone that hasn't seen it, because that was the one. Yeah, because they didn't film that one.
That's right.
Yeah. So basically, Tam. Winston finds out that Tam's been scamming everyone because he finds his book. We scammed everyone. He's really raging. And he wants to get his own back, so he gets someone to pretend to be a doctor. Because he had a doctor's appointment. He gets his friend to pretend to be the doctor to tell Tam that he's dying. So then Tam comes in and says, right, that's it. I'm taking you all to a cruise. So that's why you end up on this cruise ship. And there's this whole subplot where I'm on the ship and I'm having a conversation with Bobby and saying, I'm really missing Mina. And he says, well, why did you write to her? We're in the middle of the ocean, you daft bastard. How can I write to her? I said, no, you can't. What you do is you write a letter and you hand it to one of the staff, and they hand it in at the Interportal Service Authority, and it'll get back home. So I write this love letter to Mina, and I put Interportal I Service S, Authority A, Isa. And they've got a camera on that on the big screen. And as I'm doing into portal, service, everyone's going like that, laughing. I could look up like that. I milked that for a full minute one night with 10,000 people. That was lovely. And then what happens is Isa thinks I fancy her, and then we have this dance off, and I have to explain to her, no, that letter was for me now, and she's heartbroken. And then we have the big finish, which is like us in whites doing in the Navy with 18 dancers.
Yeah. This is where the fight was happening, where I was sitting by the that was the one.
And then what they always do with the live show was they'd have that wee extra bit at the end, like they did with the TV show, the post credits bit. So it's funny because like people weren't giving a standing ovation for the big dance off at the end because they knew something else was coming, and that something else was Jane on the poop deck of the ship with the wind blowing through her hair, and then I come up, and I'm still dressed in Bollywood finery from we had this dance off, right? And she says, "That's us back to reality, Navid, back to Glasgow." And I say, "There's still time." I throw the scarf over my shoulder, and I wander over to her, and you've got 10,000 people going, "Ooh, are these pensioners going to get off with each other?" And it was honestly like the lid rattling off the soup pan. It was amazing. And one poor bastard couldn't help himself. He went, "Navid, get our pumps." Everyone heard it because the acoustics are actually really good.
Yeah.
And you can't not acknowledge it. People are howling, laughing. I said, "Well, geez a minute, you manky bastard." But that game is a beauty of it, because that audience that night got that extra bit of goodness.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I take it the sound you do get back for the crowd is just amazing.
Oh yeah, because it doesn't look like 10,000 people, but it sounds like 10,000 people. Because it's weird the way the hydro's constructed. The sound isn't always brilliant. I remember going to see Prince there, and the sound where I happened to be was awful. But then I've been to other gigs where it sounds amazing. But in terms of look of it, I think if you said to someone and they didn't know the capacity of the hydro to guess the number, I think they would think it was much less than it is. It's almost like an optical illusion. So it doesn't look like that many people, which is probably good, because you would totally shit the bed, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But we just, I would just concentrate on the people I could see. Well, that was another thing that happened. Christ, in the last show, there's a bit at the beginning of the second half where we're queuing to get into heaven. So I'm on stage for quite a lot of time, not really doing much. So I'm sort of like, my mind wanders and I look over, and there's a woman coming up the middle aisle, and she's clearly drunk, but like I think she's just gone back to her seat. But then she's coming up. There's no seats left in the front. Where's she going? And then I hear the word cervical. And then a couple of bouncers, she's trying to get up the stairs, and a couple of bouncers had to stop her. And apparently what she wanted to do was, she says, my pals just said that, she said they're all clear for the cervical cancer. I just wanted to get a shout out on the stage. Imagine she made it on the stage
just to get a shout.
Just to get a shout. But he says, "Well, it's not Panto. I don't think they do that at Panto. Well done on dodging cervical cancer. Never had that at the Panto."
It just goes on, and of course, if that had happened, what a crazy show this is. Like, what the fuck, man? But you've obviously done loads of other stuff. Like I seen you were in the Stan and Ollie film.
Hi, yeah.
Oh well,
with Steve Coogan and that. Eh?
Oh,
How was that?
That was brilliant. That was so basically the director, lovely John S. Baird, great director. So he's a Still Game fan. So he had actually. Have you seen Filth?
Aye, you're in that as well.
I'm in the DVD extras. No. What happened was, John, bless him, he cast me in it, and it was the dream job actually, right? Because it was 2 days filming. One in Sweden and one in Belgium, because it was a co-production, and I had like 12 words, but I got to go to Sweden and to Belgium, hanging out with James McAvoy and Eddie Marsan.
That's amazing.
It was so and James McAvoy is astonishing in that film, as is Eddie Marsan, who's a lovely, lovely guy, by the way, because he tends to play. I just watched the film Tyrannosaur.
Oh, aye.
Do the one with Olivia Colman and Peter Mullen,
yeah,
and Eddie Marsan, who's horrible in it, right? And I said, so we ended up sharing a car from going to the digs in Belgium, and I said to him, if I'm slightly in awe of you, I've just watched Tyrannosaur and you're horrible in that, like convincingly horrible in it. Very good performance. And he said, "No, thanks." He said, "Look, don't get me wrong. I've got to work with amazing people, directors, actors, and I don't begrudge, especially in the current climate, because that was just after the crunch and people weren't getting work. I don't begrudge any work at the minute, but I have had to ask my agent, is there any chance one of my characters could have consensual sex?" Why reading people? So yeah,
we're thinking it typecast, isn't it?
But the beauty of films is actually that they're both cast against type, because James McAvoy, who until that point had played mostly quite genial people, was horrible.
Yeah.
One of the most irredeemable people in fiction.
Yeah.
And Eddie Marsan plays this lovely ingenue, Bladesy. So, I got to hang out with them, but then didn't make the final cut. But I'm in the credits, weirdly, and I'm in the DVD extra, so I'm happy with that.
What was your character in it?
So there's Bruce Robertson gets on a plane from Amsterdam.
Oh yeah.
And he's just effing and blinding with Bladesy, and this American tourist says, "I don't care for your tone." And he says, "I'll thank you to bat out my business. There's a couple of businessmen over there, and they're child smugglers, they're paedophiles, and I'm getting into character because I'm tracking them. So I'd appreciate it if you'd just keep yourself to yourself, because I'm doing police business here, just made up, right? And I'm one of the businessmen.
One of the pedos.
One of the pedos. And then this American comes to have a go at both of us. We're totally innocent. Like, he comes to have a go at us. So yeah, it didn't make the cut, unfortunately. But John then went on to direct the Stan and Ollie, which is a beautiful film. It's a really lovely film. If anyone's not seen Stan and Ollie, especially in these days now with your Marvels and your Mad Maxes and all that, it's Spider-Man's. Spider-Man, what's this Spider-Man all of a sudden? That was a Karen Dunbar character, wasn't it? What's this Spider-Man all of a sudden? Oh no, is it Jigsaw, Spider-Man Jigsaw? But it's a film where the dramatic high point is one old friend throwing a bun at another old friend, and that's the dramatic high point. And it's, do you know what I mean? It's beautiful, actually. Yeah. So John said, "Do you fancy being in the Stan and Ollie film? You can play the manager of the Glasgow Empire." I said, "Aye, brilliant, yeah, of course." It wasn't. You just offered it to me. It wasn't even an audition. I said, "Of course, love to." It'll be Steve Coogan and John C. Reilly. I said, "Yeah." Go on then. And so the scene basically is that because the whole premise of the film is that Laurel and Hardy are sort of in the twilight of their career. They're being overtaken in the films by other people, by Abbott and Costello and people, and there's contract negotiations going on, and they're out of contract and blah blah blah. So this promoter in Britain says, "Well, why don't you do a tour of Britain? Because you're really popular over here." And this actually happened in real life, and people didn't come to the show because they said, "Well, it's not Laurel and Hardy, clearly. They're massive stars. This must be some kind of impersonator." So in this scene where I'm in the booth, the ticket booth, and this kind of Glasgow kind of Grand Dame. "I'd like 2 tickets to see Laurel and Hardy." "Who are the actors playing Laurel and Hardy?" And I say, "It's actually Laurel and Hardy." "No, but who are the actors playing them?" "It's Stan and Ollie." "I'm not parting money until you tell me who the actors are." And then Stan and Ollie come in, and they do a wee trick for her daughter, and so that's the scene. And we're filming it in Wimbledon Theatre. It was mocked up to be the Glasgow Empire, and it's a really hot day. It was like and it's not a very well ventilated place anyway, so it's baking hot. Poor John C. Reilly is in a fat suit.
Yeah, he's enormous in that.
Yeah, yeah. And as he pointed out, though, Babe Hardy was incredibly graceful for a big guy, and he was light on his feet for a big guy, as is John C. Reilly. And the thing is that I'm the world's biggest Steve Coogan fan, right? So I thought to myself, if it looks like Steve Coogan might be up for a conversation, fine, but don't fucking bore him, because the last thing Steve Coogan needs is to be talked to about Steve Coogan for 3 hours, right?
But where he bought his glasses from.
Exactly. I know where you get glasses from. Here's an interview with Fruit Trifle. And as it turned out, he didn't seem the friendliest. He's probably knackered. He didn't know who I was, so that's fine. So I shook his hand, that's fine. But John C. Reilly seemed a lot nicer. He was just sort of talking to anyone that would listen. So it was between takes. He was sat in a chair, and there was 2 floor fans on him, 2 handheld fans, because he was boiling. And he's just chatting away. And he said, you know, back in the day, there was this baseball player, big guy, big corpulent guy, but he had a great throwing arm. And what they used to do between ends, I'll say ends, I don't know baseball, between ends, they would pack him in ice. They had this big van full of ice because back in the day, it was about reducing inflammation. You got to reduce inflammation of the veins, of the arteries, of the big organs, your liver, the kidneys, the heart. And what's funny is that medical thinking has come back to reducing inflammation. It's all about inflammation. That's all the doctors talk about. Inflammation, inflammation, inflammation. It's all about inflammation. FYI. Then there's a pause. I fucking can't help myself because there's a pun to be had. So I sort of stepped in the circle of trust and say, well, that's what FYI stands for your inflammation. Now, you'll appreciate that I was on a fucking silver platter, right?
Yeah. And by the way, quack is quack.
Yeah.
And he looked up at me and says, actually, it stands for feckless yobs interrupting.
Oh, fucking hell.
So fucking hell, what have I done? And I felt like I was falling down a well for about a millennium.
Oh my God.
But then joking.
Well, no, because then about 2 seconds later, it felt like a year, but 2 seconds later, he said, it's Sanjeev, isn't it? I said, aye. He says, you're doing really nice character work in the scene, keep it up. But I told that story to someone, he said, no, he was just throwing you a rope there. I think he felt bad, but I think you probably did trample on the story a wee bit.
Fuck.
So, lesson learned.
Wow. I think that's
he's
fair.
a dick there.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to see the incident again, see how long I waited before I went in. Did I steam in?
Was Coogan in this?
Coogan was nowhere to be seen.
Right, thank at least.
Oh, well, then I would have fucking tested my strawberries with him as well. Yeah. But I have that thing. It's funny when people fangirl to me because I fangirl to other people. I did it to Peter Capaldi as well.
Oh,
did you?
I saw him in the Apple shop in Buchanan Street. And I've always loved Peter Capaldi from like way back, from before Thick of It. Thick of It's fucking revelation.
Yeah, I love him in that so much.
But you know the story about how he got the gig?
No.
It was his second audition that day. He said, everyone assumes that I knew Armando Iannucci because we're both Glasgow Italians, but we never actually met.
Aye.
And I'd done an audition previous to that day. He said, I'm not a big-headed person, right? But I was asked to audition for one line in a thing. I was really fucked off. I said, I've had to haul arse across London. There's one line in this thing, and I'm probably not going to get it. So I go to the second audition for this Armando thing, and I'm fucking raging. And that's how I played the audition. Fucking raging. And I never really played a character like that on stage. Again, like McAvoy, he tends to be quite genial people. But and that was it. And my God, Malcolm Tucker, untouchable.
So the best. Yeah, absolutely.
So good.
But I've got a bit of a man crush on him as well.
But he must know who you are.
Well, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. So he's in the Apple shop, looking amazing. He's got this kind of powder blue kind of trench coat thing on. It looks like he's uplit. He looks like an angel. I can write that in a minute. So I'm walking past. I said, leave him alone. You know what it's like? Just leave him the fuck alone. He's just getting his daughter's phone upgraded or something. And then, no, of course, I have to fucking spin round. But again, knowing what it's like, the best thing to do is just get in there like the SAS and fuck off. Don't hang about like a bad smell.
Yeah.
Say your thing and fuck off like you weren't there.
Yeah.
So I said, Mr. Capaldi, you don't know who I am. I just want to say, I think the thick of it is the best thing on television and you're the best thing in it. I'm going to leave you to your day. As I spun to walk away, he says, I know who you are. I was chatting to Danielle and Nadine about you and congratulations on all the amazing work.
Oh, brilliant.
Amazing.
And do you know what I said back? Haven't got a fucking clue. I was like, how do we get your glasses from? To this day, I have no idea what I said to him. But I've met him since, and he was nice, so I think I didn't make a total cunt of it. I hope.
That's great.
Because you would think, like, because even when you're saying Billy Connolly earlier on, because, like, so obviously Peter Capaldi or Iannucci surely seen still game, you would and Billy Connolly, you think these people have seen it because it's like a Scottish institution.
Well, the Billy Connolly thing's interesting, right? Because Gav Mitchell had the fucking amazing fortune to interview Billy.
Did he?
Because Gav, it's not been out yet, but he's been working on this documentary about libraries and books. And he said to the producers, look, I mean, I can ask the question. I know Cara, his daughter, really well. I can ask her if Billy might contribute because he's obsessive about books and libraries. It was his way out, sort of thing. So he said, so I phoned Cara. I said, look, Cara, I know I'll be the 10th person this hour to ask for a favour, but I'm making this documentary about libraries. Do you think your dad might be interested? He said, oh, Dad's with me now. I'll ask him. Fuck. So he just heard, My dad says you'll do it if you can organise a time. So long story short, Gav interviewed Billy
Amazing.
about libraries, and And at the end of it, he said, look, Billy, I need to ask you on behalf of Sanjeev, who I work with, because I'd said this, have you heard of Still Game? Do you know what it is? I was like, yeah, I've heard of Still Game. He said, do you like it? He said, bits of it. So we all think it's our bits. I like to think I'm his favourite. We'll never know. The burden of disproof is on you.
That is kind of the sort of thing you would say though if you've never seen a thing. I like bits.
Yeah, well, exactly, because then you don't have to be specific.
Yeah.
With the Armando thing as well. I mean, I've met Armando a few times, and he's really shy. He's just a nice guy who's fucking brain like a Jupiter. But he was at the BAFTAs once, and he was there with his brother David Iannucci, who used to run comedy clubs. And I've met David through the years, and David was there. So it was Armando and David was there with his wife. And I started chatting to David, and I was slightly like fangirling because I hadn't met Armando at this point, and my eyes were like hubcaps. Armando Iannucci's there. So, but David said, oh, how you doing? Oh, by the way, Fags, Bags and Bags is brilliant. By the way, it's the best thing on Radio 4. So I'm saying, Fags, Bags and Bags, you say? yeah, we're trying to get on the telly. And I couldn't get a handle on Armando if whether they liked it or not. I can't imagine Still Game would be his thing. But then who knows? I'm also pleasantly surprised, but I'd went to see the Jesus and Mary chain in the Barrowlands, and I hadn't seen them the first time round. They were that amazing band, the total Brownbreakers from East Kilbride, and they were total like, no one sounded like them. They were brilliant. I was actually quite scared of them. They'd have fights at their gigs and all that. They'd do 20 minutes. Yeah, but I don't start them. I don't initiate them. I'm the cooling balm.
Is that what John C. Reilly called you?
So I went to see them maybe about 10 years ago, and in the Barrowlands, great gig, really, really good gig. And then I was walking out, and then the door opened to the side of the gig, and it was the manager, and I think he was a Still Game fan. He said, oh, do you want to come and have a bud with the guy? I said, I've gone then. And actually, Greg and Julie were there as well that day. And I kind of got involved in that thing where I was just with Jim Reed, who's the one I was slightly scared of, the singer, and his pal. And I said, look, just want to say, by the way, I missed you the first time round. So that was a wonderful, it was like a religious experience. Thank you so much. It was brilliant. And he says, he talks quite slowly like this. He says, live in Cornwall now. And see if I've got a pal still from East Kilbride, and he comes to Cornwall to visit me in Cornwall, and see when we're cutting about, we're known as the Jack and Victor of Cornwall. Are you kidding me? One of the most scariest men in rock. That is amazing. Like Jim Kerr, who I've kind of loved Simple Minds back in the day, and his current missus is this Japanese ex-model, and she's a huge fan of Still Game, and she cuts about the marina in Monte Carlo with a 2 pints prick t-shirt. And that's the sort of stuff that's like, this is, I guess we're lucky in that it seems to be like a universal symbol or emblem of Scottishness, and it seems to cut through all the demographics and all the kind of hierarchy and status and all that.
Yeah.
And people aren't snobby about it. They just like it or they don't. And also, it's not just a Ouija thing either. People in Fife love it. People in Inverness love it. And we're lucky that way,
Yeah. Well, we were speaking to Gary Little, who was saying
he told you that story about...
like it was a Japanese tourist staying in his Airbnb and loved Still Game. And
he came from Japan on his own at Christmas time.
For Christmas?
Yes. Because that was the thing, because he told Gav about it, Gav Mitchell, said, we've got this guy in my Airbnb and he's a huge Still Game fan. He said, why is he over? At Christmas time, he's visiting family. No, he's here.
He's here for the Hogmanay special.
He's here to go to Mary Hill.
Lang's real.
And so, we did. But did he tell you about the video that Gav did for him and all that?
Yeah, I said.
And then he did that one back, 2 pints you prick. So Gav did a video for him. And so we all did videos in character, and Gav released them like over Christmas and stuff. And Koki, Gav said, "Thank you so much for watching. We feel very humbled that you came, and domo arigato, Koki-san." It's been a bit of a smart arse. I knew about Japanese, right? Yeah. So then Koki did a video back, says, and he's a handsome Japanese dude. English is obviously perfect. And he said, "Mr. Mitchell, my heart is full. You don't know what still game means to me. Da, 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 da. And please thank all your cast members. You've made my life complete. And I just want to say, 2 pints, you prick."
One thing I meant to touch on, Sanjeev, before we let you go, was you are prolific as a tweeter, and you've always got great jokes on Twitter.
Do I though?
Yeah.
Not always, but a lot of them are good. But
I've seen John C. Reilly retweeted many of them.
But you're very good in it, because every time I see like a wee one-liner for you, I'm always like, fuck man, I need to like be writing more like stuff like that. But you've been like that for years, and how? Because I suppose I didn't know I didn't know if you had been a writer previously and stuff like that. So I was always like really impressed, and then I was like, oh, I didn't know if you'd done stand up or whatever. But you're really good with tweets. I was just wondering what you thought about that, and also have you seen it change now that Elon's in charge and it's all fucked now, Twitter?
He definitely changed algorithms, because the tweets, like sometimes I'll do a tweet and I'll just repeat an old one, because I think that's a real issue for you guys. You should be able to fucking repeat your. You should be able to do your Stairway to Heaven, do your best stuff again and again. People should ask for the best stuff. People should. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they should. But comedy doesn't work that way. You have to generate new stuff all the time. So I'm a bit naughty sometimes, and I'll do a tweet. If I see an old tweet that I did and I forgot that I did it, oh, was that me? That's actually quite good. I'll put it out again. Yeah. But I found since Elon got involved that first name terms, cunt Musk.
Well, he's came into your shop in Fags, Mags and Bags, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. Funnily enough, actually, we've named a dog Elon Musk in the last in the episode that just went out. There's a dog called Elon, a mastiff. I definitely found that the less traction for like certain things has changed it. I've persisted with it, but only because I spent that long establishing myself on Twitter. And also, I'm still going to call it Twitter, by the way, because Prince eventually went back to being Princeton. I've been told that Twitter is the right social platform for a 53-year-old man. It's kind of a Six Music thing. So, like, I'm too old for Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, I suppose. But I've just persisted with Twitter. And also just... What I liked about Twitter when it was 140 characters, well, you couldn't fanny about. You just had to.
Yeah.
You had to be really, really. Oh, let's talk about sketch writing
before.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to, I remember once it made you really, really analytical about what word works and.
I'm trying to think how many characters individual fruit trifle is.
Well, I did a tweet. I said the shortest joke I know is this: everybody generalizes. And someone came back to me and said, actually, everyone generalizes this. It's not a great joke, but it's technically a joke. So you had to be really, really... Not like Facebook, where you could have like fucking 5 pages of passive aggression about why someone took someone's wedding ring off their dead mum's finger and all that. 140 characters. Come on, let's get to the point here.
Some people,
Some people, that's it. So don't hate it when some people fucking just... wait till you hear this. Fucking no. Tell me now. Wait till you hear this bollocks. You can't fanny about on Twitter, which is why I liked it. And then it went to 280, and you could maybe do like slightly longer ones, but I still like that brevity of expression. It's and I don't really know why I like wordplay so much, but I had a slight revelation recently, and this is something that actually happened. So I grew up in Bishopbriggs. I'm the youngest of 3 boys. My dad's a turban Sikh, come from a Sikh family. And Bishopbriggs was pretty safe. It's kind of Spam Valley, Wimpy Estate. It was, like I went to private school, I had a very privileged upbringing. But town was always quite a scary place in the 70s and 80s. Someone would say something. It wasn't that bad, but someone would generally say something. And we happened to be, it was around about 1980. I was 10 years old. You weren't even born. And we're in town, and it's about 6 o'clock on a Saturday evening. I can only imagine that we'd been at a wedding reception or something like that, because my dad's in his finery with a turban. My mum's wearing a posh sari. And I think me and my brothers all quite dressed up. But it's 6 o'clock on a Saturday, and it's where the concert hall is now, which is okay. Well, it's actually not that nice now, but it was horrible back then. It was like a proper tramp's mattress back then. It was really, really scummy. And I was quite scared. It was getting dark, and the kind of night crawlers were coming out, and it's 6 o'clock on a Saturday in Glasgow, 1980. I want to be in Bishopbriggs watching telly. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And so just, please, can we just get to the car? My dad's wearing a turban. Someone's going to say something. And then these Hells Angels come around the corner. Fucking 5 Hells Angels looking like Lemmy from Motorhead. I'm like, they're going to say something. They're going to say something. And that's another thing about growing up Asian in the 80s is that you just worst case scenario. It rarely happened. But if you've got any kind of imagination, you're like, fuck, it's going to kick off, right? So I'm thinking, oh, he'll knock my dad's turban off. He'll take my mum's sari off. He'll spit in my face and hang me off a flagpole. Don't know why flagpole. So walking up, thinking, what's he going to do? And then the most scary looking one of them, he lowered his shades and he eyeballed my dad. And he said, I hope you seek what you're looking for. And then he walked off.
Drive-by wordplay.
Well, I think that's maybe where my love of wordplay came, because it actually diffused the situation, and it made me totally respect him. A, he knew what a fucking seek was. Yeah. It wasn't just okay, and also he'd done a joke. So, and I've always felt quite well disposed to Hell's Angels since. But I think maybe that's where it all started. I mean, I do like. It isn't always just the wordplay. Sometimes it's just the image, the idea. It might, like I did a tweet. It said, I've just walked past a white supremacist milliner called a hat for every Caucasian. and it's an okay pun, but it's the idea that you might have a white supremacist milliner is quite a funny idea. When the other times it really is just about the actual tortuous wordplay. So one I did was Tess Daly and Vernon Kay are both doing the hormone-enriched salad diet. Vernon got his from Boots, but testosterone. And I think I mean, some people would want to stab you in the face for that, but I think there's an art, especially when it's 140 characters to get to the fucking finishing line. Yeah, with that was it. I quite enjoy the torturous puns as well, which I know probably qualifies as a dad joke, and I fucking hate the expression dad joke, but I have to wear it, I think.
Impressive. We know a guy that's a one-liner comic, and he would do all the tweets, but then when he would do one that wasn't, he would put hashtag not a pun.
It was just to tell sometimes. Really proud of my son for Sports Day today. Well done, Jamie. Hashtag not a pun. Because I was waiting to work it out.
People come, I don't get it. Painted myself into a pun corner. Getting into a punnery.
Well, listen, Sanjeev, I think that covers it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
thanks, Sanjeev.
By the way, this is a magic podcast.
Thank you
very
much.
No, thanks for coming.
That means a lot.
Take me to Germany.
Before we go, you have got the new series of Fags, Mags and Bags out. It will be out now.
It'll be, so I think by the time this goes out, you could probably get 2 or 3 of them on the iPlayer.
BBC Sounds?
BBC Sounds. What am I saying? iPlayer for you? BBC Sounds. And I think there'll probably be a couple left anyway to go out on Mondays at 2:15 on Radio 4. It's a fictional version of Lindsay, so you don't have to visit. And I know, I'm very proud of it, actually. And yeah, the last episode is a musical one.
Brilliant.
I'll be keen to see what people think.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah, tune out to that.
And anything else to put, or just where can people find you?
You can find me in the yogurt aisle. I know I've not really got a huge amount else planned. I mean, it's we're doing the All Pals show, so we're going around. We're going to Blackpool, Peterborough. We're doing Belfast and Derry though, which is interesting. Apparently Belfast is sold out. Apparently Still Game is huge there.
Brilliant.
And I think we're doing Paisley in November, 2nd of November. So I think there's a couple more. I think we're doing Hoyk and Dunfermline as well. The Alhambra, I think, in Dunfermline.
Beautiful.
So yeah, just keep look online. They are fun nights. They are good nights.
My dad actually went to one of them. He said they loved it.
We can post all the things.
We'll put
Cool.
the links in the description.
I also recommend Sanj's voice for Couch to 5K. You taught me running.
I did. You ran past me,
and I ran past you while I was listening to you telling me how to run.
Yeah.
That's mad. That your voice.
I'm one of the voices for Couch.
Very
to 5K.
surreal. I downloaded it during lockdown, and I must have lived near you.
Yeah.
And I just kept running by you as you were chatting to me in my ear.
That's good.
I've used it myself, and once I use my own voice, and it's really hard to run and masturbate at the same time.
I can't believe we forgot to talk about this, but you were in the fucking new Iron Brew
advert as well.
Oh, what a joy. I mean, like when Iron Brew come calling, you're not going to say no, are you? And they generally get it right. It's one of those things where you think, oh God, is this the time they get it wrong and they don't make a funny advert? And
but
everybody is loving it. Like,
am I the only one in this room that's not been in an advert?
I auditioned for the other one, the Manshaft one that's just come out, and I thought I had a pretty good audition, but I watched it and I was like, no, that guy's done very well. He's like, it was very good. But when I read the script, I'm like, is this good or is this like?
I was nearly up against you for the Doctor. I was sent the script, but I was on in a stag do, so I couldn't film for it. So I could have got it
in another universe.
In
another universe. Someone had put it on Instagram, and she's an influencer. She had a big following, and 3 people said, "Why is Rishi Sunak advertising Iron Brew?"
Fuck's sake. Jesus Christ.
I mean, it's actually the way my hair is and what I'm wearing. There's a Sunak vibe. I don't think facially we really love each other.
No.
So that was that fucking
politically, quite similar.
I've swap out, so I'm giving my mum and dad Rwanda voucher. It's lovely this time of year.
Brilliant. Well, listen, Sanjeev, thanks so much for joining us. And as ever, before we go, please remember to like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And you can follow us at Some Laugh Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And send any questions you've got to our email address, which is somelaughpod@gmail.com. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys, and we'll speak to you very soon.
Thank you. Cheers, Sanjeev.
Peace.